We're Back, A Dinosaur Story is a movie tie-in game from 1993 based on the animated film of the same name. Trying to jump on the dinosaur hype that exploded after Jurassic Park was released, Universal Studios figured they would extend their reach beyond the silver screen into the video gaming sphere. Honestly, it's too bad they copped out and went with the developers that they did. You're about to see why. The game opens up with some exposition that the villain, Professor Screw Eyes, brother of Captain New Eyes, has kidnapped the dinosaurs' human friends Louie and Cecilia. The dinos parachute into New York to go save them. You play as Rex, the Tyrannosaurus Rex, who starts off only being able to jump and throw rocks. Once you collect enough power-ups called Brain Grain, you can use a tail whip attack. Even more Brain Grain gives you access to a stomping attack that clears the screen. Rex isn't alone though. He can collect icons of his other dino buddies around the stage and call them into the fray at any time afterwards. They all provide some level of aid, like Woo with the Triceratops, who topples some wooden structures to reach secret areas, or Elsa, the pterodactyl, who grabs Rex and flies him to the highest point in the level. Dweeb the Parasaurolophus runs around to punch enemies, while Vorb the alien flies in and maxes out Rex's brain grain meter. The controls for this game are laid out pretty okay. It's not a pain to press the right buttons at the right time. However, the way this game controls feels like you're stuck in the middle of a tar pit. For starters, Rex moves very clunky. From a standing position, his momentum starts slow and slowly builds. This is terrible for the kind of platforming that this game offers. I found myself hitting obstacles often because the jumping also used the momentum that was slow like molasses. And when Rex lands on the ground, a settling animation would play that didn't let you keep jumping. Look, as an animator myself, I get it, but this is not the environment to care about realistic physics. So the movie didn't have any henchmen to pull from, but this game needed some kind of generic enemy to get in your way. Enter the T-Rex's natural enemy, the pot-bellied burglar? Yes, as most generic movie tie-in games tend to go, someone phoned it in the aesthetics department. I just found it utterly silly that a not-so-physically fit masked robber could cause damage to a T-Rex by hitting its legs. Oh, but don't even bother tracking your health sometimes, especially when a burglar will one-shot you with their gun, or a subway train instantly makes you extinct. The hitboxes and collision detection will make you wish a brontosaurus would just stomp on you already. Rex could stop just short visually of a spike and still take the damage. Where his feet are for landing on platforms are fine and all, but once he turns around, his feet are actually sliding backwards, and you'll likely fall off a small platform just for deciding to turn. And when it came to climbing ropes, it took me a few minutes to realize there's a climbing box of sorts. You have to directly line up in front of a rope to climb it. Any further, despite Rex still fully overlapping the rope, and you just stand there, questioning why you even bought this game. Overall, this game is clunky and frustrating to control, not a good sign for a platforming game. The gameplay gets a 3 out of 10. Visually, there's not much great or terrible to say about the environments. They work fine, but that's all they have going for them. The characters from the movie are designed fine enough, but this one angle of Rex looking at you is just so weird. In the animation industry, we call this off-model, meaning he just doesn't look like himself. He just stares into your soul, telling you you're here to suffer forever. The way the characters animate are stiff and unappealing. Rex has the most versatility in his motions, which makes sense since he's the player character. But even then, so many parts of him are just animated in such a lazy way. The enemies move in over-the-top yet unappealing and choppy ways. And going back to the landing animation that made platforming a pain, I don't think the animator should be proud of that settle. The graphics of We're Back gets a 4 out of 10. Oh boy, can I even call this music? The repetitive tracks just drag on and get further highlighted by the terrible gameplay. The boss music sounded like someone was up against a deadline, scribbled down some notes, and recorded it in like 10 minutes. The music overall has no direction, and if you plan on suffering through this game, just mute it. The sound effects share similar lazy attributes. It's like they grabbed the most generic cartoon sound effects library, compressed them down, and plopped them in. Some of them don't even convey the actions properly at all. When Rex bursts into bones and he loses a life, you're faced with the sound effect of a goldfish bubble or something stupid like that. The music and sound of this game gets a 1 out of 10. This was one of those games I never owned, but did play at a friend's house a few times. Why we chose to suffer this game so often? I can only guess because it let us actually interact with each other more? I don't know. There's certainly some good memories surrounding this game, but I feel like it's more in spite of the game. The nostalgia hit of We're Back is a 3 out of 10. To say this game left a bad taste in my mouth is an understatement. It just served to further prove the stereotype of movie tie-in games of that era. Especially based off of what was a pretty good animated film, one would be very disappointed in this video game. As an animator, it's even further insulting to see the lack of any love put into this game's animation, let alone its terrible gameplay and audio. It's clearly a lazy cop-out attempt at garnering extra money following a much superior theatrical movie. Skip this one, folks. It's gone the way of the dinosaur.